Let's begin. Minister, my Lords, Right Honourable and Honourable Members of Parliament, Mr Government Spokesman, Your Excellency, Ambassador, High Commissioner Evriviadis, dear friends and colleagues. Welcome to this evening's annual Cyprus meeting and reception. It is a pleasure to see so many members of Parliament and our community who have taken the time out of their busy schedules to be here with us tonight. Firstly, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Sir Roger on his recent re-election as chairman of the all-party parliamentary group and all the newly elected officers. On this, the 45th anniversary of the illegal Turkish invasion and continued occupation of 37% of Cyprus, the issue remains unresolved, and we, as UK Cypriots, are gathered here in our Parliament pledging our unwavering commitment to ensure that our island is finally reunited. What we're asking for is both fair and simple: a fully functioning state that is in line with the rule of law and is free from foreign interference, and a solution based on the relevant UN Security Council resolutions and high-level agreements. Put simply, a normal state, as the UN Secretary-General has said, a position that we're grateful to many of our friends in Parliament for supporting. We are living through challenging times, and through a period of regional and civil instability, Cyprus has remained a beacon of hope, stability and prosperity in the Eastern Mediterranean. Cyprus has signed energy agreements with international conglomerates for the exploration of hydrocarbons for the benefit of all its citizens, weathered a global financial crisis, and continues to attract business and investment. It is unfortunate that Turkey continues to interfere in Cyprus's affairs, however. At this very moment, Turkish warships and drill ships are illegally situated in Cyprus's EEZ. The Minister for Europe recently confirmed the UK government's opposition to Turkish drilling, and the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, SNP, the Independent Group for Change, the Green Party, as well as many other MPs who are here tonight, have also condemned Turkey's illegal actions and called on Turkey to withdraw its vessels. Indeed, last night, the EU agreed targeted measures against Turkey for its actions, and I'm sure the government spokesman will say more on that later. Against this backdrop, and on the 45th anniversary of the invasion, our community's response has been louder than ever before. More than half of MPs, specifically 376, have received emails from their constituents calling for Turkey to take their hands off Cyprus, and for the government, political parties and parliamentarians to support the abolition of the Treaty of Guarantees, the removal of foreign troops, putting an end to this anachronistic system of security and guarantees. This campaign has received strong support in Parliament, and I'm sure we'll hear from some of our other speakers on this later tonight. Now, whilst President Erdogan may be succeeding in strengthening his powers, the jury's still out, the existing tensions within Turkey are mirrored in their strained international relations. An economy that's increasingly in crisis, strained relations with the EU and USA, bloodshed in Syria and Afrin, and of course, the continuing occupation of Cyprus. But it's no longer just the international community that is showing their disdain towards President Erdogan's actions, but Turkish citizens themselves, as we saw with the recent mayoral election in Istanbul, where demand for more freedom, more democracy, and more respect for human rights saw Erdogan lose the city where he himself was elected as mayor at the start of his political career. Now, whilst Brexit has brought turbulent times to British politics, our new Prime Minister, whoever that may be next week, their government, and indeed our parliamentary friends, have a unique opportunity to leverage the strategic and evolving relationship that our country has with Turkey to press for the abolition of the anachronistic system of guarantees with intervention rights, to press for the removal of foreign troops from the Republic of Cyprus, and to safeguard the stability of a strategic UK partner in the Eastern Mediterranean. As it became evident from the 2017 Crans-Montana negotiations, despite President Anastasiadi's comprehensive proposals on the areas of governance, property and territory, and indeed his acceptance of the framework set out by the UN Secretary-General, the Turkish government has unfortunately not been willing to talk about the crucial issue of security and guarantees. Our UK Cypriot community is clear that Turkey's unacceptable demands and influence in Cyprus must come to an end. Cyprus must now finally be free from foreign interference. We are determined that the Turkish occupation of Cyprus will not need to transcend any further generations, but for as long as it does, we will continue to do our utmost so that we can achieve a solution that is viable so that all Cypriots, Greek Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots, Maronites, Armenians and Latins can live and prosper together. As members of Parliament in one of the most powerful and influential nations in the world, your position enables you to make a real and lasting change to the lives not only of your constituents and the 300,000 Britons of Cypriot origin, but the fate of an entire population, asking for peace, justice, and the restoration of human rights. Thank you very much for your time. Sir Roger.
Your Excellencies, ladies, gentlemen, I'll be very brief now, so I might abuse my position to say a very few words later on. But can I extend a huge welcome to you? Particular pleasure to have the Foreign Minister here with us, and also in the absence of the unavoidable absence of the Minister of State for Europe. I'm delighted that we've been joined by Caroline Noakes, who's the Minister of State at the Home Office, together with parliamentary colleagues from the Lords and the Commons. I have two things to say to you. The political bit of this speech is very quick. It's more or less what I said on video earlier. 45 seconds is too long, 45 minutes is too long, 45 hours is too long, 45 days is too long, 45 months is too long, and 45 years is far, far too long, and it's got to end. And it's as simple as that. My other reason for wanting to stand now is to say to you that last week, in my capacity as chairman of the all-party group, I visited a very, very dear old friend, Archbishop Gregorios. I had a long conversation with him. He is an extremely good heart. He was in bed, but he has all of his mental faculties. It was as always, with the Archbishop, a fascinating conversation. And he specifically asked me to bring you his good wishes for this evening, together with all the blessings that God can bestow upon you. Thank you.
Well, it's an outrage that we're meeting again to mourn the division of Cyprus. I would like to associate myself with what Sir Roger has just said. 45 years is far, far too long for this tragic division to have persisted. So I welcome all of you here to Parliament, and I'm in no doubt of your determination to see Cyprus reunited. I am in no doubt of the determination within Cyprus on that point. I'm in no doubt of the determination of President Anastasiadis. And I hope you will have no doubt of the determination of me and your friends in Parliament on that question. We will always be your firm and solid supporters, and we will always work for a free and united Cyprus and to end the injustice which has arisen as a result of the unlawful invasion of Cyprus by Turkey all those long years ago. And I thank all my constituents who've emailed me over the last few months, and they were all asking me, well, what are you doing about Cyprus? What is your commitment to Cyprus? And I seek to respond on that to say I have a 20-year commitment to this cause. I very much hope I won't be fighting for the next 20 years because I hope we see a solution before then. But I will continue to fight for the cause of Cyprus for as long as it takes until the island is reunited. Over those years, I've raised Cyprus matters when I was in the European Parliament. I've raised them around the cabinet table, and I've raised them at Prime Minister's questions in this Parliament. And indeed, I was, I think, the only serving cabinet minister to attend this event over several years, and of course the Trafalgar Square rally as well. And I have enjoyed the countless community events I've had the privilege of attending over so many years to hear directly from my Cypriot constituents how they feel about the continuing division of Cyprus. And it's been great also and a great honour to host many events in this place to ensure that my colleagues know about the injustice that's been perpetrated, from exhibitions to Vasilopita cake cutting to rallies like this one. It is always important that your cause is at the top of the agenda in this Parliament, and that's what I have sought to do over those 20 years. And I know also that Greek supplementary schools are hugely important to the Cyprus community for a sense of cohesion and for preserving Cypriot culture in Britain. And that's why I've supported all of those schools in my constituency, as well as the wonderful Greek Orthodox secondary school, St Andrew the Apostle, which continues to break all records in terms of the incredible quality of the teaching and learning that is happening there. It is one of the best schools in the borough, and I congratulate Mary Karolidis and the team behind it. And it's also been my privilege to support many events for the Greek churches in my constituency, and I would like to echo Roger's good wishes to the Archbishop Gregorius. He has a phenomenal record of public service, and we in this country are incredibly lucky to have had all those long years of his service for the Cypriot community and for the Orthodox Church. And I completely agree with Christos on the matter of guarantees. It is unacceptable to ask Cyprus to accept something which is essentially a relic of a colonial past. Cyprus is a modern European democracy. It has, it has full human rights. It has a functioning democracy. The idea that a third country could be given a right to invade in certain circumstances is just not acceptable. And that is something I raised in Parliament, having discussed it face to face with the Federation. It is time for those third country guarantees to be consigned to history, which is where they belong. And your chairman is also correct that the intervention, the unlawful incursion by Turkey into the Cyprus exclusive economic zone is unacceptable and needs to stop. And that is another thing that I and other colleagues in Parliament have spoken out against. And I will continue, as I have done for those 20 years, to call on our ministers here in the UK government to do all they can to support Cypriots in their search for a balanced, just and lasting solution. And I know that ministers here are absolutely committed to providing that support. And I also believe that it is vitally important that our government continues to fund the invaluable work of the Committee on Missing Persons. This is one of the most heartbreaking aspects of the Cyprus tragedy. And the least we can do is everything possible to try and find the answers for those families who still face the pain of not knowing with certainty what happened to their lost loved ones so long ago. And over the years, time and time again, there is one statement I have made over and over again, and that is that Turkish troops must leave Cyprus. And we want to give Cypriots the opportunity and the freedom and the space to make their own decisions about their own future, free of the armies of foreign powers. It's a tragedy that Nicosia is Europe's last divided capital. It's a tragedy that many people are unable to return to the homes from which they fled 45 years ago. I fight for your cause every day. I will continue to do that for as long as Cyprus remains divided. Thank you.
I can't believe it's 45 years since the invasion. I remember going on demonstrations and on rallies as a boy when my parents used to take me, and it's really hard to believe that 45 years have passed since that awful time when the invasion happened. But I'm proud to be one of your parliamentary representatives. It's wonderful that we have such cross-party support, and we're very much in agreement, and we work collectively in Parliament. We do things. Often there are questions that other people have asked that I also wish that I'd been called to ask by the Speaker. But it's good that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. There are things that we've had in relation to this year. I've spoken about torture. There was historic torture in the 50s, and it was good to see there was compensation paid to those people who were tortured in the 50s, that there was a solution with the MOD. We've asked questions about the drill ships in the EEZ that Theresa and Sir Roger and others have mentioned. And again, that's an ongoing issue because we need to put pressure on Britain and on all other allies that we have to make sure that Turkey isn't allowed to break international law by allowing its drill ships in that area, causing more tension in the region. I've met with the Committee for the Missing Persons. There are still over 800 people who are still missing, who don't know what's happened to them. We need to find out where their remains are, so we need to make sure that we support the Committee for the Missing Persons and find out wherever we can where those bodies are buried. But more important than that, we need to make sure that UN talks start again, because whilst nothing's happening, it doesn't help us. It serves Turkey to have nothing happening, for there not to be a solution to Cyprus. And any solution that we do find must be one that doesn't have any guarantees. Those are anachronisms for bygone days, and it has to involve withdrawal of troops. And those things have to happen for there to be a long-term lasting solution in Cyprus. I'm quite clear why I'm here. I'm here for the community, and I'm here to represent you, as are all our colleagues who cross-party represent different constituencies. And I think Christos said in his remarks that there are over 386 MPs who had been contacted by email and via letter about Cyprus. So we need to make sure that the community, that people that you know, keep the pressure on MPs to keep raising the issue of Cyprus in Parliament, because it is a live issue and we mustn't forget what happened 45 years ago. And we have some amazing people in our community. We've mentioned Archbishop Gregorios, who is in his 90s now and has done such a fantastic job over the years. He's certainly raised the profile of Cyprus in so many different areas that he's been involved in. But I also want to mention another person. I want to mention the High Commissioner, who's done a remarkable job in his time as High Commissioner. And he'll be a hard act to follow, because I think he's been the best commissioner High Commissioner we've had in the UK ever. So he's done a remarkable job. I just don't know where he gets his enthusiasm from. But we need to keep going. We need to make sure that Cyprus is at the forefront, that we do raise it in debates in Parliament. I know that I'll do that, and I know that all my colleagues from whatever parties they represent will do that as well. There will be a change in Prime Minister. There'll be a change in some of the cabinet positions, I'm sure. So it's going to be even more imperative that the new people that take over those positions are reminded about Cyprus. So we need to make sure the campaign keeps going. But I know that with the community support that we're going to get very far and put the pressure on to hopefully find a solution someday soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christos. Thank you. Firstly, let me pay my own tribute to High Commissioner Euripides Evriviadis. We've worked together for the entire time he's been here, and he's been magnificent. A real brilliant representative for Cyprus in the United Kingdom. So please don't go. There's a place for you here in our Parliament. We need your enthusiasm. We certainly need an injection of energy amongst some of our jaded colleagues. But we're not jaded when it comes to Cyprus. So let me say thank you to all my fellow MPs who are here today, of all parties. This is a cross-party issue, but I want to give you some idea of where the Labour Party is coming from as far as Cyprus is concerned. But before I do that, let me thank Natalie from Catherine West's office for helping to organise the room and actually organise some of the security issues, and I believe some of the issues over filming as well. Thank you very much, Natalie. Without you, we couldn't have been here this evening. That's a real help, and thank you for your sponsorship, Catherine, and your support as always. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I was 19 years old when I was retaking an A-level here in London, and most of my classmates were from Cyprus. And we became very close friends, as you do at that age. And then in the summer of that A-level year, the summer of 1974, my friends went back to Nicosia, to their towns and villages in Cyprus, a place I hadn't yet visited, but I felt I knew because they were my friends. The invasion took place. Nick Loizu was killed by a Turkish tank. When you're 19, you don't forget these things. it made a great impression on me. And ever since then, 45 years later, I stand here with you as the Labour Party spokesperson, Shadow Minister for Peace and Disarmament, not a role we currently have in government, but we hope to soon, but also a member of the Shadow Foreign Office team, responsible for trying to resolve some of the world's conflicts, frozen conflicts and also violent conflicts. I've got a tough time ahead of me, haven't I? But Cyprus is very high on my agenda. We've been every single year for the last 3 years, and I will be visiting again in September with colleagues as well from the Shadow Front Bench team. So I just want to say to you, to echo what others have said, firstly, on our side of the House, as on every side of the House, we believe there is no place for foreign troops on the island of Cyprus, and we will support their withdrawal and their removal as quickly as it is possible to do so. And we have told the Turkish government that is what we think. And I'm also Shadow Minister for Turkey. Secondly, of course, as has already been said so ably and so articulately by my two colleagues who've spoken thus far, and of course by our chair, Sir Roger, it is absolutely vital that the guarantees go. And on our side of the House, we certainly believe that we would withdraw, if we were in government, we would withdraw the British guarantee and say there is no place for guarantees in any modern state whatsoever, especially one as advanced as Cyprus, a member of the European Union. And some of us believe if only we could still remain as well as members of the European Union. But no, I didn't say that. The other issue, of course, is something that we've been very vocal on our side of the House. The Turkey's invasion of the EEZ, of the Exclusive Economic Zone. Their wish to exploit the natural resources that belong to all the citizens of Cyprus, whatever side they're on. They should be part of Cyprus's economy and heritage, not stolen by a foreign power. So we have made a very clear statement about that, Christos. Thanks for your help, and I hope that has helped in your campaign, and of course with the European Union taking sanctions against Turkey for doing that. We want to see the island reunified, as everybody does, everybody with a heart. And I would just say that Cyprus is always in my heart. It has been since 1974. It has been since Nick was killed by a Turkish tank. It has been on my many, many visits since then to the wonderful island. Britain and Cyprus have a close relationship, and we need to continue to have that close relationship. And anything we can do to ensure the reunification, the peaceful reunification for all Cypriots, we will never cease working for. And finally, we believe, as I know everybody here believes, in peace and in justice for all Cypriots. We will never stop until that is achieved.
Before the government spokesman says a few words, I'd just like to firstly acknowledge the number of other parliamentarians who are here, but in the interest of time have decided not to speak and leave it to the panel up here. So aside from the speakers you've already heard from, we have obviously Catherine West here, the Secretary of the APPG, Roger Godsif, the Treasurer of the APPG, Baroness Massey, who's an officer, Kate Ossamore, who's an officer of the APPG, Cheryl Murray, who's an officer of the APPG, Mike Freer, and obviously Caroline Noakes, who is the Minister of State for Immigration and is therefore unable to speak on things that aren't her brief. Mike Gapes, who is an officer of the APPG, Jack Dromey as well, and in addition to that, Sir Graham Brady was here earlier, Rupert Huck, and Lord Dyke. So I think on behalf of all of us, I want to say a huge thank you to all the parliamentarians who turned up. Now, the person who I think everyone has been waiting to hear from, the government spokesman of the Republic of Cyprus, Mr. Prodromou.
Thank you. Minister, dear Lords, Sir Roger, President of the APPG, honourable members of the Parliament, I would dare say colleagues, I used to be for 13 years Member of Parliament, Your Excellency, dear High Commissioner of Cyprus, dear Christos, Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, allow me to express on behalf of the government of the Republic of Cyprus our appreciation for the work done in the cross-party Committee for Cyprus, and of course our appreciation for all the support we have from the National Federation of Cypriots in the UK. We are here gathered today on the occasion of the commemoration of July 1974. 45 years since 1974, since the deplorable self-destructive coup d'etat against the President Makarios and the subsequent Turkish invasion and the occupation of 37% of the Republic of Cyprus territory, and all the other atrocities that divided our island, that divided also our people. 45 is not a number, is not just a period of time. Knowing that a large number of our British Cypriot compatriots living here in the UK originate from the area occupied by the Turkish army, today we remind that 45 years is the distance between peaceful cooperation, peaceful coexistence and cooperation in Cyprus before 1974, and the racist, racial division imposed since then by the Turkish occupation. It is the reminder of the perpetual brutal denial of human rights of hundreds of thousands of Cypriot citizens turned to refugees by a systematic operation of ethnic cleansing in the occupied north part of Cyprus. In the occasion of this sad commemoration of July 74, we have to be conscious that we are all talking to people that have been forced to leave their house town, their hometown, their own home, and they live dispossessed with no access to their property. These days, we hear talking about rights in the natural resources, the potential energy resources under the sea. All natural resources, including the natural gas, belong to the entire people of Cyprus, whatever is located in the area of Cyprus, of course. And they are all managed, they are all competence of the state, the Republic of Cyprus, or, let's hope, the Federal Republic of Cyprus after a solution. But I am sure that talking about the rights in the natural resource will make other people remind us of their rights in property, violated for 45 years now by the occupation. Maybe I will talk again about the question of the exploration and exploitation of natural gas resources. First of all, I believe that we all agreed that what we need in Cyprus is a peaceful approach of negotiations on the basis of the relevant United Nations resolutions and in accordance with principles and rules of the European Union, given that the Republic of Cyprus is and will remain, and after a solution of the problem, a country member of the European Union. Talking about negotiations, I have to remind that since the deadlock of the United Nations Conference on Cyprus in Crans-Montana in July 2017, the President of the Republic of Cyprus, Mr. Nikos Anastasiadis, in several occasions asked the United Nations Secretary General to take an initiative to resume the negotiations. In every occasion, with letters addressed to the Secretary General or in meetings with him, our President reiterated his strong commitment to negotiate a solution within the six-point framework advanced by the Secretary General in Crans-Montana, in line with the relevant UN resolutions and, of course, the European Union values and principles. The Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, dispatched Mrs. Jane Hollut, a UN diplomat, as his special envoy in order to explore, through consultations with the parties involved, to explore the prospect of resuming the negotiation process based on agreed terms of reference. Unfortunately, for almost a year now, and after 3 or 4 rounds of consultations, the efforts of Mrs. Lut bumped on the position of the Turkish government, and their position was, all that period, that we could not have negotiations before the European elections of last June and before the accomplishment of the Brexit, both irrelevant to the negotiations for the Cyprus problem. Subsequently, during the last period, the Turkish Cypriot leader, Mr. Mustafa Akinci, unfortunately was reluctant even for informal meetings with President Anastasiadis, alleging he didn't want to give the impression that we have negotiations. Last Thursday, on the 11th of this month, we had a hope. In a communication with the United Nations Secretary General Special Envoy, with Mrs. Lut, there was an understanding that in the following weeks, at the beginning of August, Mrs. Lut would visit Cyprus in order to resume the effort and accomplish all the preparatory work, all the preparations, in order to have the resumption of talks. Then, the next day, on Friday, the news were that the Turkish Cypriot leader was not exactly ready, and on Saturday, the next day, he advanced a so-called proposal for a joint committee in order to handle the natural gas issue. Unfortunately, once again, it seems that the Turkish side tries to deviate from the negotiation process and to avoid the resumption of talks from the point we reached in July 2017 in Switzerland. And we mention the resumption from the point we reached there because there was real progress. Because in Switzerland, in July 2017, we were very close to a strategic agreement that would allow a comprehensive solution of the Cyprus problem. I believe that the reason is obvious. In the negotiating process, before as well as during the UN Conference on Cyprus in Geneva and in Crans-Montana, there was substantial progress, and at the end we had the six-point framework of Mr. Guterres himself, who tried to facilitate the comprehensive agreement, and that framework, that 6 parameters, included the security issues. And I heard all the speakers before me mentioning with every right that the future of Cyprus, the future of reunification, peaceful coexistence of all Cypriots, Greek Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots, and every other legal citizen of the Cypriot state, this future has room for the obsolete system of foreign interference through the obsolete Treaty of Guarantees, post-colonial Treaty of Guarantees, and of course, Cyprus should be freed from any foreign troops. These 2 points between the 6 parameters of the Secretary General seem that create some problems to Turkey. Was not ready to discuss them in 2017, and it seems that since then there is no change in the Turkish position. Today, we cannot accept any effort to disorientate the attention from the basic aim that is the solution of the Cyprus problem through negotiation. We cannot accept starting discussing about the natural resources, the natural gas, at the same time that we see Turkey intervening in the, not only in the exclusive economic zone of the Republic of Cyprus, but even in the maritime territory. The second drilling vessel stationed offshore Cyprus is located in an area less than 12 nautical miles from the coastline of Cyprus. We need peace and stability in Cyprus, and we need stability in the whole Eastern Mediterranean area. Cyprus, the Republic of Cyprus, through friendly relations to all neighboring countries, is presented as a beacon of a European beacon of stability and peace in the region. We want to continue in this way, and the proof is that last year our Minister of Foreign Affairs made a public proposal to Turkey in order to alleviate the pretext of the natural gas, to come to discussions with the Republic of Cyprus to delimitate, to define our reciprocity in the definition of an exclusive economic zone between the two countries, according to international law and the treaty of the UN Treaty of the Law of the Sea. Unfortunately, the answer of Turkey is unilateral decisions and the international law of their own will. This is why recently we had the decisions and the sanctions by the European Union. However, what is the target of the President of the Republic and our government is not to be opposed to Turkey, is not to have sanctions to Turkey. What we need is to have honest, frank negotiations, a peaceful process of discussion on the guidelines of the United Nations and the UN Secretary General, and we believe that if our compatriot Turkish Cypriots were left free to decide, we could have productive negotiations. Unfortunately, the continuous Turkish intervention in Cyprus, the efforts to influence also the Turkish Cypriot society lead to the perpetuation of the division of the country. What we need now is that Turkey abandons the idea that it will impose its will against the international law and will continue its presence with troops in Cyprus. And we are most grateful of the cross-party support we have here in the United Kingdom on the case of a peaceful solution of the Cyprus problem. And I would like, once again, on behalf of the government of Cyprus, to thank you for your interest on our country and all your support for justice in Cyprus, and ask you to continue to give priority, as I am aware that is your intention, to a peaceful resolution of the Cyprus question through negotiations and reason. We still hope that we will resume as soon as possible the negotiations, because we believe that on the basis of the written positions of President Anastasiadis in Grand Montana in reply to the 6 points proposed by the Secretary General, if we have the same positions, clear positions by the Turkish side, we can reach a compromise on the basis of the UN resolutions. Thank you for your principled stance that reflects the way we want to act throughout vis-à-vis all the problems of people internationally in our complicated world. Thank you once again for your presence here today. And I can bring, Christos, back the message in Nicosia and in Cyprus that we have friends in Britain that will support and press for the peaceful resolution of our problem and the end of the division of our island as a proper European Union modern state member. Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you very much indeed for that address. The Minister of State for the Home Office, as you had explained to you, is not allowed by parliamentary convention to speak. I have no such inhibitions. So I'm perfectly ready and able to say that Her Majesty's government intends to take a robust line over what we regard as illegal carbon exploration off the coast of Cyprus, and that must not be allowed to impede the talks, progress on the talks in the future. Now, this gets the heavy bit. I know it's a brave man that keeps a cypret from his wine. I understand that. I told you earlier that I'd visited one old friend. Well, there's another old friend. The name Euripides has been bandied around a little this evening. We've been trying to get rid of your High Commissioner for a very long time. Every year he comes down to Margate for the blessing of the seas in January at the Feast of the Epiphany. Every year he stands on the seafront. He doesn't freeze to death. Every year we try to persuade the assembled multitudes to throw him into the sea instead of the little boy, and he survives. But now, my friend, my dear friend, the time's come. And you're being recalled, and we're heartbroken. And my wife, Susie, sends you her fondest love. And we have got for you, which you've now got to come and collect, an utterly useless piece of glass. But it comes with our greatest affection.
So Roger, thank you. But allow me to get up, because I was told a long time ago that only kings and queens make a speech by sitting down. In ancient Athens, Socrates was asked about the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? To which he responded, to be a good Athenian. And then, of course, the follow-up question was, what does it mean to be a good Athenian? And his answer was simple and straightforward. To leave Athens better than you have found it. And of course, Athens is not just Athens. Athens is everywhere in the world that we all happen to live in. And for me, Athens has been, in the last 6 years, London. 6 years, friends, colleagues, distinguished members of parliament, in the blink of an eye. And 43 years in the service of our beloved Cyprus in a heartbeat. A journey full of adventure, full of discovery, but also full of enrichment, because I have met very good people like you. People like you that have individually and collectively help me become a better person, to also help me understand my own prejudices and to also understand my own shortcomings. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time from your hectic schedule to be here with us. I want to thank especially the distinguished members of the APPG under the wise, prudent, and savvy guidance of Sir Roger, because in your persons, Teresa, everybody, Bambos, Catherine, Kate, everybody, in your persons, I find, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but this comes from the heart, all-weather friends. Because as I said before, when the sun is shining, when the birds are singing, you know what? You have many friends. Okay? But when the thunder comes, when the difficult choices come to either say yes or to say no, or maybe, that's where the friendship really counts. All-weather friendship, irrespective of how the weather is. And this is how I feel about the distinguished members of the diocese here, the distinguished members of the APPG, and many others as well. It has been a fascinating journey. The relationship between Cyprus and the United Kingdom, of course, is not monothematic. It's not just one item relationship which has to do with the Cyprus question. Of course it has to do with the Cyprus question because it's an existential issue that we have to get right. And I'm very cognizant of the fact that I'm speaking to people that have 800 years of Magna Carta. Now, we used to study Magna Carta in school because it's democracy, it's human rights, it's the rule of law. And you know what? That's all we want. We want nothing more and nothing less other than what is given to other peace-loving people. No, we do want nothing more and nothing less other than one country, one people, irrespective of the ethnic background, irrespective of the ethnic origin. Somebody can be a Cypriot of Greek ethnic background and be proud of it, of course. Somebody can be a Cypriot of Turkish ethnic background and be proud of it. Armenians, Maronites, Latins, we are a quilt. And this country, here, this great United Kingdom, has shown what it means to be. Now, it should be so difficult in Cyprus if left alone. If the Cypriots themselves take the power in their own hands and get rid of, as it has been rightly said, this anachronistic system of so-called guarantees, which in different ways, in different degrees, in different periods, for different reasons, did not serve the interests of the Cypriots. That is anachronistic. It is neocolonialism. So in many ways, what I've been trying to do in these years is to project that. I joined the service when I was 22 years old. It was 2 years after the invasion. And you know, and at 22, you see the world differently. The idealism that comes to you at that age, or even before, because the purity of the principle comes to us even younger in life. You see white children, black children, Chinese children getting together and they love each other. Why can it not go on throughout life? Based on one single rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. The relationship that we have with the United Kingdom is a vibrant one. I call it an umbilical relationship. We have, like a family, we have our ups and we have our downs. It is natural in many ways, but the trajectory has been very high ever since the President of the Republic of Cyprus, Mr. Anastasiadis, was elected. But the relationship, I repeat, is not monothematic, is not having just to do with the Cyprus question. On issues dealing with security, I mean, the United Kingdom has 2 bases on the island, 2 sovereign bases on the island, and it's from there that we are actually fighting ISIS. And I say we in many ways because we are in the same strategic boat. Ever since Cyprus joined the European Union, we all of a sudden we found ourselves in the same table as the United Kingdom, and that ushered in a higher quality relationship bilaterally, but also regionally. The Eastern Mediterranean remains of cardinal importance for the security of the United Kingdom, of cardinal importance for the security of the EU, and it doesn't wait for anyone. Eastern Mediterranean means Israel, it means Egypt, it means the Suez Canal, it means migration, it means Syria, and all these things. And Cyprus is there as a dependable, predictable security enabler in the region. That is what we have to guard. We have the human link, the human living bridge that exists between Cyprus and the United Kingdom through the vibrant communities that exist in Cyprus and the United Kingdom. 300,000 Cypriots of United Kingdom, UK Cypriots, and close to 70, if not more, British that live in Cyprus, including a mayor, Yeroskipu, I think, the mayor that it is a UK citizen, huh? No, Yeroskipu. Okay, you're from Paphos.
Oh, I'm not from Paphos.
Okay, because the Republic of Paphos is taking over, you know. I want to highlight these things. Like I said, 43 years in the service, in the blink of an eye, New York, then Germany, before the reunification, and then who would have dreamed that Germany would be reunited, but it was reunited. One drive that I remember from West Germany to West Berlin to East Berlin, that was worth so many courses in international relations, and the European Union has kept the peace. The reunification of Germany came about also because of the European Union. I served 4 years in Russia. When I went there in 1988, it was USSR, and then I came out and it was Russia. It was a fascinating journey, but I think the United Kingdom itself and the time that I've spent here in the last 6 years have even been more so because of each and every one of you, and because of the community. My colleagues, and I have to pay tribute to the team at the Cyprus High Commission, because they're the ones that are rowing the boat. They do the heavy lifting. The successes belong to them, as I often say, and the failures and the missions belong to are mine. But I want to pay tribute to them. They're so happy to see me go that they even created a hashtag for me, and the hashtag on social media and Twitter is #EuropeExit. You know, as in whatever exit. It feels a bit like a cliff edge for me. Without a deal, no transition period, but I must confess to you that I am and remain a Remainer. Obviously, I'm not challenging, and I bow to the will of the people here, of course, and whatever democracy decides. Democracy, after all, that's what it is all about. At the same time, the fact that this is happening, it's a choice for the United Kingdom, but I'm sad about it, you know, because I think it has, it will for Cyprus as well, it will be a challenge. But whatever things go, that's the way they go. I want to thank you one more time. I think my 3 minutes are up. So I will be called out of order. Again, to thank each and every one of you for this great enrichment. I'm gonna be going to Cyprus. I still like to think that I still have the energy, the passion, and all these things come from inspiration that I get all around. If you come to Cyprus, give me a call. If you think I'm bluffing, you have to call the bluff. I'm going to be there, and hopefully something else will come and happen. I want to thank you one more time for this beautiful experience, for this enrichment like no other. All the best to you and yours, health, happiness, prosperity, every success to you, to your families, to your children, to your grandchildren. May God's graces, may God, whoever he or she is, it could be a she. Why must God be he? You know, okay? After all, God created man and woman in her image. So, all the blessings to you, and God bless you, and thank you for this. Okay, thank you for this.
Your Excellency, we wish you well. We wish you well in whatever the future holds for you.
And next time I will go to market, maybe I'll jump in the sea.
There are a number of colleagues that have liked to have spoken. They all care as passionately as those of us who have about your cause. But it's now 8:30 and time to go next door. Meeting closed. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
You are against?